Last time on Dice Funk.
And you can hear Poffo is sort of mumbling something to himself. That is very familiar to you. He's saying,
It's okay. You'll be alright. You can pass. It's okay. Oh.
Like he's whispering assurances that you saw one of the Bodak do earlier, but this time it's to himself.
Do you have something like the banyan tree?
Yes, we do. I don't think anyone but myself truly appreciates how much progress this city has brought to this new world.
So you think the city is alive and has a will the same way the banyan tree is? You know, under the water in the ocean, they have this thing they call the riddle snake. I think it's the same kind of class or type of thing. It's just something new and inexplicable. And this is like, there's like the gears are turning in her head because she does love the banyan tree. She's interested, but I also think her first love is just knowing stuff. And I think she is kind of tempted to just trade information with this guy, although it's obviously a bad idea.
Because if I fail to meet it, I lose everything, and I don't think it is fair.
I fail to see how that's my problem.
It was your problem when you took the job.
The job is to check those in queue. We are doing that, and you've jumped the line and ruined it for Poffo. And ruined a valuable vibe for your own employer.
Okay, so we've had a lot of conversation happen here. There are a lot of different motivations kind of being put about. I want to kind of clearly state, I think, where some people lie for the audience who maybe need a refresher on a couple things. Stranger has an interest in bringing back Poffo because you want to see what happens for the sake of your culture. What happens when something that is undead is tried to be revived? So that is a question that if you say no to both of them, you will not get an answer to. I will put out there that Hialeah has made a deal with President Slater to bring him back. So she has a vested interest in wanting to do so. She has until the end of the next arc to do so, or she will explode. So I just want to note that it is not something you have to do immediately this moment. But that is the timeline that you are working with. And if this deal goes through, you will either have to be duplicitous or you will have to accept that you will die soon. So I want to put that on the table if no is the answer. And I just want to clarify that it seems that Lilian is deeply, deeply uncomfortable with the idea of not bringing anyone back, but it seems like the most fair solution in Fair's mind. So it sounds like at this point the party has kind of an impasse where Hialeah wants to bring everybody back and Stranger wants to bring nobody back. So this decision ultimately seems to come down to what Lilian thinks. So where do you believe Fair's mind is at this point?
Fair's mind is like racked with like a lot of indecision because Faye feels like being tugged between like feeling like Faye could have done a lot more to make that vibe check go smoother. Feels like being like given a choice between like all or none, like has no idea what to pick because Faye wants to bring people back, but Faye has complicated feelings about the people that she didn't learn that much about, and ultimately like near the end of this conversation, just Faye is just like, I have no earthly idea. I just need like a 20-minute breather. I just need some. I need some more time. I need some more time. I need to leave.
Stranger takes a deep breath, like calming and collecting himself, and then goes, "Very well, we will reconvene here, I suppose."
Well, I can't really do either of these two people justice, so I guess I'm just gonna go back and work on the Dumas manuscript. That's a full story, beginning, middle, and end, complex characters. That'll be nice. So I guess I'll just write these ones off. No one needs half the story of two people who are like okay, but we didn't get to see all that much. So you win some, you lose some.
All right, so the party is going to go their separate ways for a recess. Who are you all, or where are you all going?
I know that Lilian, like, first chance the Fae gets, like, they leave like the decision area, like they leave like the other party members to like go head back toward toward the gig, and like head over to whichever room Needles is staying in, because Needles is fair best friend and fair confidant. As a level-headed and calm-headed person, I'm sure that Needles will be what Faye needs to figure things out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, so Needles absolutely has a room inside of the gig. They have been here since you helped to bring them back. So, I mean, you open the door, Needles will be inside. And before we start the scene, I'd like your help, Sarah, in kind of painting the picture here, since this is ultimately a character that you created. What does Needles' vibe and space kind of look like?
So the way that I'm imagining this is that Needles' room is like lots of like books and like notebooks that like she uses for like her anthropology work, and you would expect that kind of stuff to be like stacked up in like high towers of books, but it's more just like more spread out evenly around the place. It's kind of hard to walk around the room because there's just like books tucked in every single conceivable corner.
Yeah, it's deliberately spread out horizontally and not vertically. There maybe are reasons for that that we'll get into at some point in time. But Needles has definitely learned to place things out in a more neat manner. And when you come in, she's immediately going to see you and be like, "Oh, Lilian, my best friend! What are you doing here? Is someone causing you problems? Do I have to beat somebody up for you?"
Just, oh, Needles, there's so many problems, but I don't know if you can fix it with beating someone up. And Lilian will just, like...
Usually works for me!
Dramatically, like, fall onto, like, the couch with, like, just enough room to sit on.
Yeah, Needles will sit beside you and immediately be like, "What's going on? Something happened?"
Well, you know, we started today with great, like... plans to like do like another vibe check. You know, they've gone pretty well so far. We've gotten a lot of people back up to speed with the whole live-in situation and everything. But this one, you already heard a little bit about how it got interrupted a little bit by Miss Killings and the person she was trying to bring back, while we were already dealing with the person that Mike and Buck wanted to bring back. And now we're at an impasse where we don't know anything about either of these people. And I feel like a right old big failure because I don't know what to do about this.
Okay, well, first off, you're not a failure. You're like the smartest person I know. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it's the other two people's fault. They probably messed things up. You're perfect. You've never done anything wrong in your life. But
You are a wonderful galloping unicorn of a person. I don't think the other two messed up. I think they did pretty well, all things considered. I felt like the one who messed up.
why do you feel like that?
I remember when we started this, Mr. Poffo is a Bodak, and they are undead. So there was a big question up in the air about whether or not an undead person can even be brought back to life as they are. And I, despite thinking that Pock down there was a little hasty to be judging Buck for being a little mushroom man, I think ultimately I did kind of let that paranoia get to me, and I was scared. And I don't like that I was scared of someone that I wanted to help bring back, and it affected a lot of what I was doing. I screamed so loud we got into a big fight.
No, that's nothing. Sometimes you run into a whole lot of people and you run into a new culture and you gotta figure things out, you know? I mean, that doesn't sound like you failed. It sounds like you responded appropriately to, like, a brand new situation with ramifications we can't even comprehend.
I know that stranger mentioned being very interested in how this would turn out, but it doesn't sound like he is the most enthused about this, considering the ripple with Slater, I think his name was. Because if we want to bring back both of them, like Slater wasn't even in, like Slater skipped the line. That's skipping the queue, and that's bad. But like, who knows what we would decide if we had gotten like him in the right queue. And just there was a lot of stuff in that mind, in those minds, that like I don't know what to think of. I don't know what to make of it.
Okay, so, I mean, where are you thinking right now? Like, obviously you came into this with some sort of goal. What way are you leaning?
Well, the goal I came into this with is being able to see that we could bring Poffo back, because I want to give everyone that chance, because I know that Poffo's got people who care about him. There's Buck. Like I don't know Buck very well, but I know that Buck and Poffo seem to care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, thinking about this as I talk to you, that it would be unfair to just let Poffo stay dead, even if someone else got in the way of everything.
So, I mean, it sounds like you got a pretty good idea of things. You want to give people second chances, and like, you have a chance right now to give two people a second chance. So, I know it's not ideal, and like, we'll have to change some things, but like, if you need me to start guarding this tree and beat up anyone who tries to interfere, I'll do it. I'll do it in a heartbeat. You'll see mashed fucking pulp outside that tree when I'm done with these people. But if you're gonna try to say neither of these people deserve a chance, it just doesn't seem like you, Lilian.
This is gonna be tough, but I think maybe I can make a case for it to bring them both back. And who knows, maybe once they're both back, we can learn more about them when they're alive. And, you know, like, make a good, like, impression on them and give them the second chance in the best way that we can.
Yeah, like, if any of these people come back and they suck, we'll just pound them back into dust again.
Just now, I don't know about that, but, like, I appreciate the enthusiasm. You're always quick-witted and right on the ball, especially when it comes to violence.
It'll be real easy. I'll hide in the rafters with a big hammer, and if it turns out they suck, I just jump straight down and I turn them into goo.
Hammer might be a little better than my shameful swordplay, like in that vibe check. I don't think I landed a single hit with my rapier.
Well, that's because you're used to not landing hits. You're like a great actor, so you're good at making sure you don't hurt anybody when you do your shows.
I do pride myself on that. You know, it's funny, like when I'm performing, like I don't feel like scared or unsure of myself at all. So I just thought not having stage fright would translate to not having real fright. And that has proven not to be quite the case, but like maybe I could do something to fix that. Maybe I can get better at stealing my nerves before a vibe check, getting in there and actually doing something good.
Needles is gonna kind of very deliberately and delicately put a hand on your shoulder in a way that doesn't stab you in any way. It's something that like you've been able to do before. I assume this hasn't been a relationship entirely, like without any kind of physical contact, but like it's one that like Needles has to deliberately do carefully to avoid accidentally kind of pricking you with anything. And she's just gonna say, you know, you're doing like a crazy thing doing all this vibe checking. Like, there's so much responsibility on the line, and you're handling all of it like a champ. Like, I couldn't make the call to decide whether to bring someone back. Like, you're amazing.
Oh, Needles, thank you. You are a wonderful, organized person.
I mean, I kind of just structure them based off of how punchable the cultures are. Over there, those are the real jerk bags. I'd really cream them. But over there, in that corner, they're pretty cool. Actually, I've been over there. They got good vibes, so I wouldn't want to cream them at all. This is basically like a pummelable kind of, spectrum across my room. And I'm ready to put any jerks who are mean to you right in that big pile over there of people I absolutely want to clobber.
Just like I'm sure that when the time comes, that will be very super duper appreciated. I think that this talk was very helpful. I think I figured some things out that I wanted to. I think I'm gonna help these people get back, even if I have to argue for it.
The best thing, in my mind, that you've ever done, Lilian, was giving me a second chance. So if you can help Buck get that same feeling of bringing their best friend back, I think you should argue it with every passion in you. And if I know anything, I know you're passionate, because you do it on stage every night. That's art.
It is art. I will make this into art, and I will do the best I can.
Fuck yeah! And she's going to start punching at the air wildly.
Needles absolutely would fight 102-year-olds.
Yeah, she'd destroy them in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even be a challenge.
Just I think that like covers a lot of the things that Lilian was like very stressed about, like at the end of like the important decision making conversation. So like Needles will like Lilian will like get up and like dust herself off and be like, well, I do think I needed that, and I do think it's probably time for me to get back to the others and come to a decision.
You can do it, Lilian. I believe in you. Everyone sucks but you. Remember that.
That would mean you suck, which is not true.
I'm okay with that if it means that you're doing awesome.
Just we can both be awesome, and I will get back to you about more awesome things later.
Okay, but I'm going to start tattooing Everyone Sucks But Lilian on my back. So, I just want you to know. It's
Okay.
catchier than Everyone But Lilian and I Suck. It's too many letters.
Do you have a mirror to do that? Are you going to do it blind?
I'll figure it out. I'm pretty smart. I
mean,
have all
you
these
are
books
pretty
around.
Smart. That is true.
Yeah, I'm a scholar. God damn it. Tree damn it. I don't know what we worship here.
Just, I wish you the best of luck with that. I'm sure that you can figure something out. Maybe figure out a catchy slogan that like includes you too, because I appreciate you a lot.
You just see Needles going over and starting to dip one of her needles in ink. And she's like, when you come back, I'm going to have knuckle tattoos.
Just awesome. Awesome. Love that.
All right, so during all of this, what would Stranger be doing? You have a brief recess, so what's on his mind?
Yeah, so I think Stranger isn't expecting this to take an incredibly long time, and I believe we established we were at the gig in the laundry room. I believe Hialeah was eating a towel at the last episode at some point.
Yes.
So I think Stranger will just go to the bar to wait and maybe dip his roots in, I don't know, some sort of strong alcoholic beverage to soothe his nerves.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there's absolutely a glass there waiting for you. And you see moments after you start resting your roots in it, the friendly robot Parks walks over and says, Master Stranger, having a bit of a drink to relax now, are we?
Oh, yes, Mr. Park, something to rest my nerves. It seems that this vibe check is going quite poorly.
Oh? Why do you think that?
Well, have you heard anything? Has anything made it back to the island at large? It's a small place. I assume word travels fast.
Scuttlebutt here and there, but I've learned not to take things too much at face value from anyone but the source themselves. I know that there have been quite a lot of people in and out, but perhaps you could relay the deets on me, as the kids say. Did the kids say deets?
My people kind of grow up pretty fast. We're on squanches now.
Oh, well, if you could give me all the squanches, I would deeply appreciate it, my good man.
Yeah, I think Stranger will just kind of like high level go over exactly what occurred. We don't need to relitigate every detail. And then like pick up where and so while I wanted to bring Poffo back, I do not think it is necessarily a right to bring back Slater at the same time, although I must admit I'm wondering if maybe I'm letting emotion get the better of me here.
Yes, you have quite the pickle ahead of you. Perhaps you need even a stronger drink. Do your people get drunk off of liquor in that way?
I do not know. I would like to find out.
Yeah, he will reach down into sort of like a cabinet, and he's going to pull out something that just it has like several X's as the label. There's no other like real identified info. And he pours a glass and he says, sometimes Harper uses this to get rid of rust stains, I believe.
Oh, well then that should if anything will do the trick, this would. You know, some hags ferment my people into moonshine.
Your people have a deeply interesting culture that has a lot of unfortunate side effects to how people treat you, it seems.
Yes, well, how should I put this? What was the first thing you said to me? I'm not going to kill anyone.
Well, I suppose that was inappropriate for me to say at a first glance, although you have now met Buck, who will happily kill people if they stay at his domicile for too long. So perhaps a certain level of communication has been formed between us.
Stranger sort of waves his hand, and like when he says like, yes, it was like when Park says, it was bad of me to do this, and goes, Do not mind it. It's a knife that cuts both ways. There's a benefit to it to an extent, but there are also clear downsides.
Parks is going to be kind of like shining a glass while you say all of this. And he says to you, you know, there's another duty that I have here to this island beyond sort of running the gig, so to speak.
Oh.
That is to assist in, let's say, vetting people for the validity to be a part of the queue.
Oh, good to know. As far as I was aware, there wasn't really any check at all, but at least if there's something, then...
Yes. Well, it's not official, I suppose. It was a bit of a system that I had worked up with Speaker Mox before, where if people come to the island, I chat with them a bit, try to glean what they're all about, and then if their individual is ill-fitting for resurrection, to gently send them on their way. I suppose it is easier to do it as a casual chat with the bartender than it is to act like some governing body, but perhaps this is why I have come off a little bit curious about you from the start. You're a new entity, and I apologize for perhaps not treating you with the due respect.
You needn't worry about it. Like I said, sometimes an air of danger is good to have. And as you said, if I imagine people let things slip a bit more when they're drunk than when they're being interviewed by myself, Lilian, or Hialeah.
You would be quite surprised at how many individuals don't actually know how the procedure here works. It seems news of this is still in the process of spreading, and quite many people come here not bearing the remains of their loved ones, but instead prized possessions of them. It is with deep misfortune that I must tell all those individuals to go home, otherwise this hotel would be packed to the brims, as it were.
No, that is a bit of an unfortunate, but I guess very understandable piece of confusion. Although, as word does spread, this hotel will be packed to the brim as people begin to exactly understand what they need.
I do agree. We are coming upon what feels like a breaking point, perhaps. It was inevitable that this situation wouldn't remain a small, tight-knit community forever, but figuring out what this looks like as it grows is a conundrum beyond myself. And of course, Speaker Marks is not as much in the picture as I thought he once would be.
As they're talking about, like, the number of people, and, like, just the logistical problem here, he kind of swirls the glass and, like, dips a vine into it, since it's not like he really has a tongue to taste it with. And he's going to say, "You expressed some sadness at the rate my people are attacked, injured, what have you. Would you be surprised to know that, frankly, it is a good thing?"
Oh, how so?
One of the patch tenders who trained me said the greatest gift you can give the next generation is to die. And as time goes on for my people, that becomes increasingly true. We grow quickly, and we expand rapidly. But we have a very high mortality rate. And where we live, as we industrialize and build up better methods to protect our young, we are rapidly hitting a resource problem. There's not enough land, not enough fertile ground to go around, not enough bodies to make anything resembling me. And as time goes on, if we don't have the elders dying off quick enough, there is no room to advance, and so it pushes out the younger back into the world to die.
Oh, well, those are quite some grim squanches you've just given me about your people. I'm curious then, Master Stranger, with all of this going on with your people, why you have chosen to take on this role as a vibe checker.
I cannot make much of a logistical difference back home. I'm good at my job, don't get me wrong, but not just my people, but there are many people in my homeland that are, well, afraid of this place, to be honest with you. And Stranger will take off his glove and look at his bony skeletal hand and go, "Every day I wake up and I look at the hand of a dead man. If I cut off the tip of this finger and dropped it into that ocean over there, who's coming back?"
If the answer were the person who the finger originally belonged to, what would you do?
The real question is, what would happen to me?
consider a world where you weren't removed from the picture. There was simply the body of someone else who used to be alive and is now part of you also roaming the world. Is that something your culture could allow?
I don't believe that's the issue. It's more of, how do I put this? How do they react to us still walking around? Or, who comes looking for their family's body parts?
It's an interesting question you pose, and you would, it sounds like, receive some measure of an answer should Master Poffo be returned. Are you quite comfortable with the idea of allowing that information to slip by?
That is the issue I face, and maybe I can pick your brain here. I believe in systems. I have to, because it's the only thing that's left me keep young harvestkin alive, growing and moving on to live their lives. And from what I see here, and as you said, this is a place stressed to the brink. If you allow this to get worse, and if you allow people to circumvent the system and take advantage of it, it may only get worse. And we may be at the breaking point, and that would snap it entirely. Do I compromise what I believe and what I think may be healthy for this place, for a piece of information that is valuable to me, and of course valuable to many people? Or do I potentially catastrophically, irrecoverably, do I potentially catastrophically, do I potentially catastrophically damage this system by allowing Slater to come back? And I told Lilian that sometimes you have to make a choice between saving the one for the many or risking the many for the one. And I do not, frankly, know if I'm making the right choice here.
Then perhaps you would have an interest in seeing what changes this community can have. I think that if you're asking for my opinion on this matter, I am not really allowed to have much. I need to be as impartial as possible. But if I am to act as a confidant to you, as a bartender, so to speak, I believe you should do right by your community and come away with knowledge. Everything else here, the gig, the banyan tree, we will find a way to survive. We will find a way to improvise, improve, and endure. That is what the banyan tree itself represents to a good many of us.
Perhaps you're right. I think I am acting out of emotion here. I did say to Miss Killings that even kings die eventually. So eventually, too, Slater will die once again. And whatever damage he and Poffo may or may not do will be but dust.
Quite the rousing tale you have provided. Now, tell me, how is that drink for you, Master Stranger?
Stranger pulls his vine out of the drink and goes and sees that it's like shriveled and blackened now and goes, oh no, that does not seem. Okay, well, I maybe as a defoliant, if like we have a weed problem, but I don't think I will be imbibing this much longer.
You see that Parks like grabs the bottle and like kind of twists it closed very tightly and then kind of makes a note, "May kill plants?" on it, and then puts it away like in a like sealed cabinet.
Oh yeah, maybe on the plant island, not good to have an extreme chemical defoliant.
Oh, perhaps that one has fermented a bit too much, so to speak.
Yes, don't let Buck know about it. He'll be quite excited.
Yes, well,
That young chap gets quite excited about a lot of things, what I understand.
And Parks is going to kind of finish cleaning a glass and extend a hand out and say,
I do appreciate you stopping by here, Master Stranger, and I appreciate you sharing about your culture with me.
Thank you, Mr. And Stranger will take it with a vine and a non-desiccated vine and shake it and say, "Thank you for hearing me out. Many don't give my people that chance, and I can't necessarily blame them. But I appreciate that you do."
So long as you are at this hotel, good chap, you are a friend and a companion.
Stranger will tip his hat to him. His crow, who has been just eating all of the bar peanuts, hops back onto his the top of his hat, and he heads back to meet with the rest.
Oh, the peanuts are gone. I'm gonna have to refill the whole peanut jar. Oh, and they're up so many stairs.
Why are all the peanuts at the top of the gig?
That's a question perhaps for another day. You've learned too much for one day.
Oh, that's the dark secret of the gig. Why they store all their snacks in the worst places.
The gig's secret peanut farm.
yeah, so I think we need to find out then, where's Hialeah going in this break that you now have?
Hialeah leaves the decision chamber, aka the laundry room, and she marches directly to Miss Killing's room, doesn't knock, turns the handle, walks in. If it's locked, I would like to roll strength to take the
Oh my gosh.
take the doorknob off in mid-stride.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think it probably will be locked. So give me a strength check.
All right, Giant's Might to get advantage as well. That's 19 and 15.
Yeah, 19. You've already described it. You basically are just grabbing the handle. You feel the briefest level of resistance, so you immediately just tree strength your way into slamming this door wide open.
And you will see Miss Killings, who seems very frazzled as she's looking over documents, kind of peek her head up and say, "What are you doing here?" As her Pomeranian dog is going nuts, kind of barking at you, barging in.
Yeah, so she Popeyes all of the water in her body into her hand. So when she enters the room, her fist is like the size of her body. It's a very
Oh my god.
upsetting look. And she just kind of tosses.
You fucking Gear 3 motherfucker.
Absolutely, I was thinking One Piece. She just throws the doorknob across the room, not hard, just like as if it's like trash in her way, and walks over to Miss Killings and says, "Our previous interactions have been quite intense, so I'd like for you to perhaps be more reasonable as I speak to you right now. How does that sound?"
How could you ask for me to be reasonable right now? Do you have any idea the position that I'm in because of you all?
Yes, you're in the best position you could possibly be, because the only other position you could be is drown in the ocean.
Are you? And she's gonna kind of narrow her eyes. She's like, "Are you threatening me?"
You came here threatened. Although I am going to roll intimidation.
Okay.
That's a botch.
Fucking wow.
I think what's going to
Hialeah
happen
dies.
is
You see her hands sort of start to crackle and explode with fire, and she starts to just hold it up to you, and she's like, "I understand this whole island is mostly plants, and starting a fire will cause a very big problem here, but I do not take threats lightly."
You shouldn't. I'm very heavy.
good to know.
Hialeah is basically Gamagori from Kill la Kill, where she's the biggest person in any room, and if the camera like looks away and looks back, she's somehow bigger. So she is like towering over Miss Killings, and she says, "As you may understand from your actions, I have spoken with your employer, President Slater, and we've come to something of an understanding. However, your rash actions have just completely threatened everything. Are you aware of that, or do you just kind of do things randomly and not understand the consequences of your actions?
I do things to keep my power, and I'm at a point right now where I am about to lose it because of you and your friends who could not do a simple task in a timely manner. Why should I lose everything I have and everyone else gets to have what they always want? You have your connection to your tree. If you were told that it was going to disappear, would you not have done everything in your power to keep it?
Of course, which is why we're having this conversation instead of the aforementioned drowning you like a sick kitten in a river.
Aw.
Her hands will kind of like calm down, like they're not like kind of like actively inflamed at this point, but you can still see like the edges of embers kind of traced along her fingers and like up through her wrists as she sort of like crosses her arms a little bit and says, "You have my attention for this period of time before I'm going to have to ask you to leave, so please make this count."
My friends tell me they found your personnel file in President Slater's memories. Apparently, he doesn't think much of you. You're a pawn who's only loyal because he gives you powers which you're about to lose. So I understand the desperation. That makes total sense to me. What I don't understand is why you aren't looking for a backup plan in case things go wrong. I don't think you can breathe at the bottom of the ocean, so you're not taking the bone there yourself. You're gonna have to rely on other people, which means other people can fail you. What contingency plans are you putting in motion besides picking a fight with every person you see?
So Miss Killians will just kind of sigh and say, "I'm out of contingencies. If that bone isn't handed over immediately, I will not meet my deadline, the contract is void, and I lose my powers."
I understand that, and I appreciate your honesty. I want you to understand that the bone has to go through me. My companions, Lilian does not have the stomach or the willpower to do the things you're asking. And Stranger, first of all, you're lucky he didn't tear you limb from limb. I've seen him squeeze the life out of someone until they explode from the inside, as he was a giant snake at the time. So you're lucky you have all your limbs currently. He would not play with you. I'm the only person you can depend on right now. I don't know if you believe that. I don't really care. It's just true, so I'm saying it.
All right. Let's get a persuasion check at this point. Your thoughts all make sense, so I'm almost tempted to say you should get advantage for it. But I do think the consequence of that botch is that Hialeah is going to have to kind of make her case on just a natural roll.
Yeah, and she has very bad persuasion. She comes off kind of conceited to people, which is fair because she is.
Yeah.
2.
I will say Miss Killians just kind of looks at you and she's like, "Why should I trust you? Why should I trust any of this? I don't have allies here. You've just said your friend wants to kill me. You've come into my room and said that in another scenario, you would be killing me and throwing me into the ocean. I don't understand why I should acquiesce to you about all of this. This place, it feels like, is just going to be my coffin one way or the other."
That's a great impulse, because I also, like you, will do anything it takes to accomplish my goals, including going over your dead body. So I like where your head is at vis-a-vis trusting people.
Damn, we got like corporate hostility business Hialeah here. She's like wearing a big suit. She's trading stocks.
She's got big shoulder pads.
She has like a comb over in her hair now.
She's doing so much cocaine.
No, listen, she wants to be the Pope. She wants to be the tree Pope. How do you think that happens?
She's doing so many wafers.
How do you think that happens in real life? It's not like a righteousness like system where you have like a meter you fill to become the most holy. It's political. You have to know people. You have to make alliances. You have to promise things. That's actually the way it works. So she's willing to shake hands and do deals. And I think she, at this point, realizing she hasn't either intimidated or cajoled Ms. Killing, says, I am in the same boat as you, or we are in adjacent boats in the same raging river that is going towards a terrible waterfall. And she shows Miss Killings the contract that appeared after the vibe check. I assume it details the accord President Slater and I have struck, where I explode.
Yeah, there is a portion of this contract that sort of unfurls and will kind of detail that quick bit of information, which is Hialeah has until such date to see that President Slater is returned to the world of the living and his body part is put into the well, or Hialeah explodes. There's more legal type jargon than that, but it is relatively easy to parse for anybody with a familiarity with the contract, which Miss Killings has. She is President Slater's personal assistant, so she has seen a great many of these.
Yes, so after she reads it, Hialeah will just say, our goals are entwined. We both die if this bone doesn't get where it needs to go. So, how about some cooperation?
I mean, it doesn't exactly sound like I die in this scenario. Your life's on the line, so, I mean, what can you offer me? You're asking for my help in all of this now.
Yeah, so when you gave us the contract, or I guess, gave me the contract after the vibe check, we didn't really say what those items do. I had an idea for what the contract does, because President Slater's whole thing, or, as much of his thing as I understand, is he can give out warlock powers. And Hialeah made a deal to get the same kind of otherworldly, numinous knowledge he has, and now she wants to be able to give out warlock powers.
Yeah, so you proposed this idea to me, and I'm giddy with so much excitement over the implications of all of this. You have this contract that details your own kind of like I don't want to say enslavement, but your own sort of like requirement to follow a particular task. But there is, as you open this scroll, more room on it that is blank, and that is sort of the gift that has been kind of conjured up by the banyan tree. And it has this ability that allows you to act as a patron for somebody else or for other people. So there is an opportunity here that if you can get Miss Killings to sign this, you would become her patron now instead of President Slater. And there are a lot of ramifications that could come as a result of that.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make me like a stronger Dungeons and Dragons character necessarily, but it is an interesting story beat. But Hialeah basically just says to her, you have no particular affection for President Slater, who just sees you as another item line on the budget. This is not your dad. I'm going to become Tree Pope, and I want powerful people by my side to keep, frankly, people like you from fucking with me. So I would like if you could find in your heart some interest here, or I guess you could start setting fires and I could put you out of your misery. I don't know from the tone of our discussions today if you and I are gonna, be throwing each other birthday parties, but I'm an adult and a professional, and I assume you could be the same.
So what requirements, if I sign this contract, do you have of me? There are always rules to obtaining power and requirements that are asked of us. What would you be asking of me?
I would ask you to perform any duties the tree asks of you, because you would work for the tree now instead of President Slater. And I would ask that, and I want you to answer my questions. I just have some fucking questions.
Answer some questions and a vague do what the tree asks, and I obtain an extra level of security to not lose my powers?
Yes, you be the personal assistant to the banyan tree. Instead of filling out the schedule and meeting and greeting with diplomats and business folk, whatever the tree asks, which I assume is going to be mostly raking.
Miss Killings is going to kind of look over a bit of this contract first, and she's going to kind of add some language to it that she feels is very important to her, which is that nothing the tree asks of her can be sort of detrimental to her own survival. She just kind of says to you, she's like, I don't know what you mean by the tree asking me to do things. I'm skilled at my job. I'm good at keeping order. I am good at getting things done, but I'm not dying for a tree, if that makes sense.
I don't see why the tree would throw away its own defender, so it makes sense to me.
She's going to kind of sigh and look over this and say, I don't particularly like you. I don't like any of your friends. I feel like this is a giant mistake. But you are the only person who's offered me anything right now. So I suppose it's in my best interest. And she is going to start signing her name on this contract.
My first question is, how did President Slater die?
Disease. Something rare and new to the new world, to my understanding.
Okay, and he didn't have the power to stop that. He seemed like a very powerful magic user. So I'm curious how he could not find a cure disease spell. My understanding a pretty low level. I understand your flesh is a little different than getting some kind of bug in your bark, but I'm troubled by the seeming disconnect there.
Yeah, I've found it to be a bit strange as well, but this is all I was explicitly told, is that in some of his process of being a pioneer in these new technologies, he has managed to kind of mix just enough that it has caused some sort of fatal disease that he succumbed to relatively quickly. He had enough time to set up the conditions to make sure that I brought him back, but it seemed as though the entire thing came on rather quickly.
Okay, second question. What is with this deadline? Both of you keep saying the word deadline over and over to me. I understand you lose your powers. What is the deadline to him, cosmically speaking?
The deadline is he just needs to get things back in order, I assume, in living. He is a powerful man with a lot of powerful resources. Things are able to move sort of autonomously without him for a period of time, but eventually he will need to be back to make sure that this system he has created and the work he is building upon, the progress he is creating, can be put back into his vision, so to speak. The deadline I was given was to revive him by a certain date or I lost my powers, and I was also beholden not to really speak much of it. Sort of a non-disclosure agreement, so to speak, but I was at a point at this point where if I really said anything, who cares? I was going to lose the powers anyway.
So he needs to get back to continue running his empire. If he does not, will it collapse? Is there like an heir or someone else with a comparable skill set, or is it all a Keystone army that falls apart without him?
There is no replacement for President Slater. He is a visionary to the city, to the entire biome. I mean, everyone relies on him to keep the city running. I'm sure people will fill in the gaps if he were to ever disappear or when he one day passes for good. But, I mean, there's no replacement. There's no second in command to take over. He is a monolith.
And his whole legacy is in our hands. That's a powerful feeling, isn't it? Do you enjoy that? What do you enjoy besides having warlock abilities? Tell me a little bit about yourself, Miss Killings, because right now you seem to only care for power's sake, which is understandable, but surely there's something else that I can help you acquire with my phenomenal cosmic powers.
There are a lot of things in the civilization biome that are incredible, but it is not good to be at the bottom of the social ladder in that place. The city can consume you, quite literally. So it is important to maintain some level of power, some level of use, to make sure that you are a part of the community, and it has been important to me to find it. I'm good at what I do. I am often disrespected and often underlooked, but I am damn good at what I do.
Last question. Is this your dog? Do you love it?
When I first came to this island, I mostly holed myself up. I thought it would be good at some point to get out and get some air. I ran into this creature, and it really seemed to imprint upon me. Love is a strong word, but if you hurt it, I will burn you to ashes.
You've passed the test, Miss Killings. What's the dog's name?
You are to name dogs?
Jesus.
Here you are to name dogs, yes. I'm afraid that is a custom. I can't really bend on that.
Perhaps the dog should suffice.
No, it should not suffice, Miss Killings. Try again. As the Pope, I command you to try again.
How about, Popo, I guess?
Nope. We just met a guy named Poffo. That's going to be confusing. Sorry, one more again. Spin the wheel again, Miss Killings.
How about Jericho?
Yes, Miss Killings. High five.
Yeah.
My hand is still bigger than her body.
Yeah, give me a strength check to see how much you just clobber her back down.
Oh my god. I'm not trying to hurt her. 26. 26, I'm sorry.
No, I mean 26 is good. You were able to achieve what you want to. You basically could like rock her, like she visibly feels like the force of momentum kind of carry through her body, but you were not intentionally trying to like knock her like ass overhead or anything like that. So she just feels how powerful you are for a moment and is like, oh, okay. I do see what you meant about crushing my head if you really wanted to.
Yeah, like as I knock her back, like maybe there's, instead of the red fire she gets from President Slater, there's like streaks of like green and like vines grow up, flowers spring out of her bed or something in the hotel room. Uh-huh. Just some sense that, yeah, I have also empowered her. And somewhat rudely, Hialeah just leaves the room without saying anything else. Just, you can't be mad if the Pope doesn't give you all your pleasantries. He's got stuff to do.
She's like, could you at least leave a note with Harper to repair my door, or?
She doesn't answer that. I will say I do have Smith's tools proficiencies, and she probably will just come back and fix it later. But she doesn't want to give her the satisfaction. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So before we kind of finish here, I want to say that there's a moment after you leave this room where you feel sort of a presence within you, sort of a creeping feeling that goes up along your spine and kind of like carries through your body. I guess you don't have a spine, but essentially your equivalent, I guess, of a nervous system, whatever allows you to feel, kind of has a tingling as you feel this presence kind of touch with your essence, your mind. It's very difficult for you to even process, but you feel a like proud congratulations kind of soothe over you in this moment where whatever you were feeling, whatever this thing is that is contacting you, it is happy with what you've just done.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Maybe insight check? Because I'm not sure if that's the tree or President Slater. I don't know who has the power to be feeling my plant spine. 13. I get advantage because of my stone rune.
Okay. Was there a second roll?
Yep.
Okay. The 6 there too. Okay. Yeah. So I'll say with a 13, which is above average, you don't know exactly, but your immediate instinct is to think that this is the tree. You have felt similar things near the tree before, where you felt sort of this grandiose sort of almost like sixth sense level of like appreciation to the tree, like, or communication to it. Certain it's difficult to like properly explain, but you very tangibly feel something sometimes, and this feels similar to that. Plus, it would make sense. You have just basically given the tree more power.
Yep, that's what I wanted. Because I just wanted to get it clear, because I have no idea how people reacted to the last episode. Hialeah has not betrayed the tree. She loves the tree so much, but she just now has grander plans that involve making the tree extremely cool and powerful.
Yeah, and you know what happens when you do that? You get a little bit of a trickle down. So Austin, I want you to go to your proficiency bonus, and I want you to increase it by 1.
Oh no.
Man.
That's suspicious. I feel like now I'm in trouble. I didn't feel like I was in trouble before. Now I'm worried.
Also, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
When Slater, you bring Slater back and he's doing all this big stuff, is Hialeah going to get her own, like, her Pope, instead of a Pope mobile, like a Pope train?
That's a great question. I have 10,000 ideas for where this can go, but we'll have to play it out, because at any moment, this could all come crashing down.
Yeah, all right. So at this point, I think the party is going to unite again. You've all had an opportunity to kind of discuss this situation with various people and have had different takeaways. So I think it's time to make this decision vis-a-vis who to bring back. Poffo, Slater, both, nobody.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to make that call.
Before they get into the meat of it, Stranger will say, first, before we proceed any further, I would like to apologize for letting emotion get the better of me. I'm normally better than this.
Apology accepted. You looked really cool when you did it, which goes a lot of the way for me personally. Maybe next time, bigger animals, pumpkin animals.
Give me like 2 levels, and then I can get there.
Oh, sick.
Stranger has changed his sort of opinion on what he should be voting for here, but Lilian has not had a chance to speak, and he wants to give Fair the proper time to say their piece.
Yeah, like if you give Lilian the floor, I think that Faye will like take another deep breath and be like, "So I've had my time to think about it. I confided with my dearest friend, and I do believe that if we have to pick between bringing back both or neither of these people, that I think that we should err on the side of giving them both a chance to come back and have a second chance at like doing things like reunite with their loved ones. I don't want to make a decision that would break the heart of somebody else's best friend."
Stranger will just nod and say, "Very well. I believe that this is decided." Then he is very, very pointedly not saying that he has actually changed his opinion at this point, because he, from his side, does not want to cede ground to Hialeah, who he saw get very self-confident in the last episode, and that worries him.
Just if that's all that Stranger's going to say, Lillian's going to pause for a moment, like, "Oh, I thought we were going to have a bit more of a parlay about this. If that's it. Yay!"
I mean, Hialeah and I were about to, respectively, saw each other in half and weed the other. So I think we have said our part, and from what I see, it sounds like you have absorbed that conversation, and you've made your decision. I don't see any need to attempt to convince you otherwise. We are all adults here. I assume. I don't know our ages, and I think it works differently for all of us.
Yes, I have made my decision. I am firm on it this time. I was going to be very on board with trying to argue with either one or both of you for not swaying on it, because I think that I need to be a little tougher about that.
Thank you for being more decisive, Lilian. I've made my thoughts known. I have some doubts and some skepticisms, but that's why this is a group activity. And you've swayed me. You've won me over with your oratory and your powerful skills of persuasion. Here's to reviving them both. Huzzah. Are you going to finish that dryer sheet?
This can't be good for you. I think this is just all
Why
chemicals.
are you eating these? Are you nutrient deficient? Are you not getting enough water and sunshine?
I can make you some manure. I was very good at it. It was my literal job.
Oh yeah, why don't we? Let's make the decision arena. What did I call it? The decisorium, the the decidatorium. Let's do that in the kitchen or in the freezer, so then we can just eat while we do it. I just get snacky.
Yes, I think I'm watching you eat someone's clothes right now. It's frankly, I don't know if you're gonna pay for that or leave like an IOU.
No, Barbella says she doesn't want sleeves in any of her outfits because they get in her way. So I'm just getting rid of those real quick.
I would think it'd be faster for her to just flex, but fair enough.
Oh, well, like, if you've agreed on that.
Hialeah says, "Oh, wonderful. I guess we should go break the news to Buck. You want to do all that as a group, just in case someone accidentally breathes a little too many spores in and has a little bad time?"
Just like, there is power and numbers. We can all go there, break the good news, put our gas masks back on.
Yeah, so the party can absolutely go and take the quick trip over to Buck's place. As mentioned before, this is like a weird, misshapen building made out of mushrooms and fungi. It is rotting actively. It is deeply sort of contrast to the rest of this like vibrant, alive island. And there isn't really even much of like a door at this point. There's just kind of like a hole that leads in.
Yeah, I think Stranger was the one carrying his body, Poffo's body part. So he will call out as he enters and say, well, of course he's put on his gas mask. So I don't fail that part of the point and click game because I didn't say I'm putting it on. And he will go inside and say, "Good afternoon, Buck. Are you in right now?"
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Of course I am. I'm actually just sitting here watching something real good. You want to sit down and watch with me?
Stranger's gonna look at whatever he is currently watching rot.
He is just watching the walls of this place rot and decay.
I see. Well, why?
It is also indistinguishable from the rest of the house. It's not even like it's a particularly like noteworthy thing. It's just there's something vaguely shaped like a couch, vaguely pointed at something.
Simply enthralling. While that is a nice offer, we do have news for you. Your vibe check has been completed. It was a bit more complicated than we would have liked it to be, but we do bring you good news. Poffo will be brought back.
Oh, yeah! Wow! That is so incredible. Oh, I can't wait to have my best buddy back again. It is so good. You do not know the crazy things that we get into together when you leave us alone. It gets crazy. Do you guys have best friends?
I have a best friend.
Oh, that's wonderful. What about you two? Who are your best friends?
I think of the banyan tree as my best friend. We've only recently met, but we're very close.
Interesting.
Yes, my brother would probably fit that description.
Oh, best friends with your brother. Are you the older one? Is this like a little brother you can pick on?
I'm the younger, and he is much bigger than me.
Oh, then you're the one who normally got the noogies. It's good to know. I really I appreciate it, guys. I didn't think it would be too complicated. Poffo's a pretty simple guy, but I'm so happy to hear that you're going to be bringing him back. That's great.
I must warn you, I'm not sure if we had this discussion previously. We don't know if it will be Poffo coming back, or Poffo as you knew him.
Oh, what do you mean by that? I knew Poffo when he was a Bodak, and I guess you could say that I also briefly knew him when he was a Fearbelug.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I knew Poffo at both stages of his life. You could even say, I guess, I helped him transition from one stage to the next, so to speak.
I do remember
Did you kill
something
him?
about that. No. He did not. Don't you remember? We saw the clerics shooting at him, and I believe they addressed me as like a mushroom person.
Stranger's gonna try to recall exactly what his mother was, or Poffo's mother was dying of. Does this seem like maybe exposure to some rather brutal fungi?
No, his mom was just dying of a natural sickness. And Poffo, or Buck is going to explain. He's like, yeah, I mean, I did kill Poffo originally, not intentionally. I kind of emit sort of toxic spores. And, if you hang around me too long, you can die. And that's what happened to dear Poffo. But then he came back as a Bodak who couldn't be poisoned. So we got to spend a lot of time together after that. That's where we became buddies.
I see. Well, it might be that he comes back as a Fearbelug, and, well, I'm not sure necessarily how enthralled he would be to be around you. They are, from as far as I could tell, potentially two different people. But again, we couldn't get as full of a read as we'd like to. I just want you to be aware that it might not be exactly the same as you'd like it to be.
Oh, well, I'll take your word on it, but I mean, I know Poffo maybe better than anybody, and he's a pretty consistent guy. He really, you get what you see. It's great to hang out with them.
When he says that the Bodak is consistent, Hialeah glares at the other two, because one of her objections to bringing the Bodak back was how little sapience they had. She doesn't say anything, but it's like, I wish you two listen to me.
Just I remember, at least in part, like Poffo the Fearbelug and Poffo the Bodak, in the little time that we got to talk with them, seemed like they at least had sort of a similar worldview. Maybe it was a little mixed up there in the vibe check, but like I personally believe Buck, if he does know Poffo better than anybody else, like who am I to contest how a best friend talks about their best friend?
Why, the banyan tree hasn't said anything about me, has she?
Oh, you're not in that group chat, are you?
Motherfucker. Actually, Hialeah does want to ask Buck, are you two planning on leaving, or are you going to live here on Banyan Island? I am going to go ahead and take the initiative and start calling it that, see if it catches on.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. I haven't really been able to find much of a place here in the New World. Kind of been searching for a while. I guess I have a bit of a homestead here. A lot of us Vicanids, we kind of try to find our colonies, so to speak. I don't know if this is a place that'll welcome us, but I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I got a pretty good pad. I've got some great rot over here. You guys should try this rot. You're missing quality rot content right now, actually.
I am actually a casual fan of rot. I like your style. But I am a little concerned about the relationship with the local flora and fauna, florna, the plant animals. They might have some kind of conflict with your situation here. Looking at the other two now, like, we don't have a system for making people leave or keeping them here. Like right now we have a pretty open door policy. Maybe something to consider in the future. But
you are right. I did have a thought. Poffo seemed very... How would I put this? He was able to deal with death very well from what we saw in the vibe check when he was going through it with his mother. Perhaps that is something he could help others here with as well. Those who are maybe trying to bring someone back that more for their own reasons than for the other person.
A grief counselor? Are you suggesting that when Poffo comes back, we put them to work as a grief counselor?
Potentially, yes.
Okay, I do like that. I'm just concerned, because here's the thing about fungi, is they're not plants. I know they look like plants, and the rot that's spreading seems like, oh, that's part of the natural life cycle. I don't know if it's invasive or... Actually, I'm going to roll nature. This game has a mechanism for that.
I will do that as well.
All right. If we're all doing it.
22. 22. I will kill you, stranger. I will kill your whole family.
Thing I'm best at, and I botched.
Oh my god!
Why did I also botch?
Oh my god!
You two fucking jerkheads. I had it.
Oh my god! All right, hold on. I have to think about this for a second. A double botch.
Just I was gonna say that like if it seems like the mushrooms that like Buck likes to grow it in his house seem like they might become a problem at some point, that like maybe we could like create a system to like help people like onto their feet and like head out into the rest of the new world instead of like, you know, like moving out from the gig and like getting their own stuff started up. But now with the botches, who knows? I feel like I've just been botch city for episodes.
Yeah, so we have 2 botches here on the table. So unfortunately, that is going to be a fail for the party. 2 people failed, and then Hialeah had a 22. But what I will say as a situation is that Stranger and Lilian kind of come away with this conclusion. As you look around, you see that this place is full of rot, and it is sort of taken. Like if you leave this domicile and you look at the ground of the island, you see that it's not as though this is like a piece that is on top of the plants that like make up this island. It has sort of replaced them. It is like almost filled in the gaps with it, and you could kind of make an assumption at that point that this is potentially a dangerous sort of potentially contagion to the island, that this is something that could grow into something more dangerous. Now, how you want to respond to that is your own call, but that is how you both feel, as you also both feel a little nauseous. You both have been poisoned, as it seems like your gas masks have maybe not been tightened all the way, and you breathed in a little bit of these toxic spores.
Yeah, Stranger will, as he's starting to get sick, say, yes, I'm not sure if this is necessarily the best environment for you, but I have a potential that he gags and throws up some pumpkin guts into his mess. Oh goodness.
Oh no.
And says, I can give you the directions to my homeland. Oh god. You might find a more equitable climate there.
Yeah? Does your own place have a lot of good rot hanging about?
A lot of corpses. Oh god, it's in the mask.
Just ask Stranger. Are you all right? Coughing fit.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go.
Ah! So great to see you guys. Always welcome back here. Always a pleasure. And hey, I think if you come back next time, I'm going to have a hunch there's going to be some pretty good rot still going on, so you're not missing too much.
Just we'll be sure to check back in next time. It seems like Stranger had a good offer. All right, we'll get to Poffo coming back.
Hialeah hangs back for a second, like trying to catch the end of the TV show as the others leave, you know, just hanging back for a minute, but just watching the rot on the walls. Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah, there's some goo that sort of drips from the ceiling.
Yeah, it's just like you're trying to catch the end of the game.
Yeah. You can feel free to take a seat if you want. It gets a little sticky, but other than that, it's pretty good. It's comfy.
I appreciate that. Now I got to catch up with my friends there. They had a tough day at work.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. If there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. I'd love to, I could bring by some rot pie. I could, I could kind of scrape off some of the walls and make like a rot blanket, something to keep you warm during the cold days.
Oh, that does sound lovely. I will let you know if I need anything. On unrelated note, no need to draw any connections. How fast could you get rid of a body if I brought you one?
Oh, well, I mean, pretty quick. I would find a way to maybe just incorporate it. Sort of like the south side walls over here feel like they could use a little reinforcement. It could be incorporated pretty quickly.
But completely unidentifiably destroyed, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I can poison the shit out of it. I can throw some acid on it. It could be featureless relatively easily if it needed to be. Why do you ask?
I was just asking for my book. I'm writing up a chronicle of my adventures.
Oh!
She shows her scroll.
Wow, this is so incredible. Am I going to be in your book?
If you keep up this kind of behavior.
Oh, that's so awesome. Can I have a whirly hat?
Oh, well, we'll get you one. I'm an honest reporter, so put on the whirly hat, and the whirly hat goes in the book.
Oh, wow. This is like all of my greatest dreams are coming true. Hey, this is like a wild thought. Would you ever want to come back here and maybe play some rot ball together?
I just signed up for hockey last arc with Harper, so I don't know if I have enough for both sports. But
that's a shame. They're both the same season as well. Oh, it's gonna be hard to do both.
Yeah, we'll see how the hockey league goes. I might get kicked out for aggressive checking. I'm a bit of a bruiser, so we'll see how long they tolerate me.
All right. Well, it's so good to see you, and I hope that you have a great day.
Keep it groovy.
Bye! And you just see Buck like standing in the window kind of waving goodbye. So good to see you. Bye.
When we get like far enough away from like Buck's house that like we're not in like the poison sphere, like Lilian will put like a hand on Stranger's back cloak, just like do you think we need to maybe go like get some medicine or something? Like, are you going to be able to just walk it off? How do you breathe?
I don't think any doctor here is going to be familiar enough with my biology. I'll handle. What does the poison condition do?
So a poison condition means that you have disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks right now.
Great, wonderful, love it. Does that include skills?
Yes, ability checks are skills.
Wonderful, love it, great.
Woo!
I think the arc is over. I'll do medicine check on you if you want, but I
think it probably makes sense for a stranger to try to do it to himself. He has a medicine check. I think you would just assume no one here is actually capable of taking care of him.
Okay. Yeah, Hialeah is slowly catching up. She has the lowest speed in the party, I think.
14.
I will say that from your medicine check, you believe that the poison that is running through you is something that you can remove and it'll pass away within a little bit, but you are both going to have to deal with some nausea and discomfort for quite a bit even after leaving.
Oh, actually, hold on. I can actually fix this. I have 2 casts of Lesser Restoration, which cures which cures poison. So I'll cast that.
That's what I was looking at. I was like, I believe there are spells to remove poison. So I'll say that it runs through your system. But if you have spells to do it and you're willing to use them, then yeah, you can save yourself from the nausea of being poisoned.
Woo!
What does that look like? What does Stranger's restoration look like? You've described yourself as this, frightening pumpkin person who lives in sort of a world of fear. What does healing look like in that world?
So I think Stranger reaches into like his cloak and like I think actually kind of reaches in between his rib cage because he's not like there's no organs in there. It's just tendrils and vines. And then produces just a handful of strangely glowing candy corn and scarfs it down.
Oh, God. The worst kind of medicine there is.
I fucking love candy corn. I'll fight all of you. Bring it on.
Okay.
And I assume he also hands some to Lilian, because you said you
I was
going
to say, how does Lilian respond to being handed holy candy corn?
I just realized I had used 2 second level spells. I only have 1 of these, and Stranger would have absolutely used it on himself because he walked out and started vomiting in his mouth.
Oh, you brought candy and you didn't bring enough for the rest of us.
Oh, I'm sorry. No one else ever likes these. I didn't. Oh, whoops. My bad.
It's fine. Like I've never tried those actually, so I don't even know what my opinion is.
Yeah, do you know what they're? I think Stranger actually wants to keep these for himself going forward now because they're his favorite. He's like, actually, you know what? Yeah, they're terrible. They're just awful. You wouldn't even really like it. I think.
Oh well, then I guess you could keep them to yourself.
In fact, I think I feel sicker now. Is the thing.
Just I guess I'll stick with my licorice and my whoppers.
Do dryads have their own like special kind of? I'd imagine. Oh, you can't really do anything with like maple or like tree sap, can you? That's like drinking blood. That feels a little bit fucked up.
Well, like red vines, I assume, like Twizzler kind of stuff. It's like actual vines, right? Like it's got to be made of like real actual vines.
Mm-hmm. It's like the 2 things that came to mind immediately with the red vines and the whoppers were like, what are things that you can get like at a theater, like when you're waiting for intermission? Lilian likes that kind of stuff because they work at a theater like before this story started.
Faye is a huge fan of pretzel bites,
Yes.
hot dogs,
popcorn,
slushies.
Stranger, I think, like casts his gaze to the banyan tree and goes, Can we make banyan tree syrup? Is that an option here?
So banyan trees do have fruit, and they are edible.
I'm thinking like maybe can we tap it for its sap though?
No, it's not full of sap really. I mean, I'll look this up, but I'm pretty sure that they're pretty dry boys.
And then of course his next thing is to gaze at Hialeah, not saying anything but obviously wondering the same thought.
Oh yeah, baobabs are juicy AF. That's their whole thing. Her tummy is full of juice.
Interesting.
You can make like dried candied banyan tree fruit candies.
I will specifically say banyans are a kind of fig tree, specifically. So that's what their fruits are. So anything, they're not like the exact kind you would get at the store, but they're related.
So instead of like the Jesus wafer, you're doing fig Newtons. Is that what's happening here?
Oh, I love fig Newtons. They're so good. Austin, you got to give out fig Newtons. You got to transubstantiate some fig Newtons for me.
With you and also with you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Baobab fruit tastes like sherbet. It has an acidic, tart citrus flavor. It is a good source of vitamin C, potassium, etc., etc. Yeah, people totally eat both of these trees.
Oh, I love sherbet.
Yeah.
So you turned your attention to the tree briefly, stranger, and I do want to note that you do see someone standing outside of the tree.
Who do I see standing outside of the tree?
You can only make out so much from afar, but you do believe that it's Speaker Mox, who didn't return to the gig with all of you.
Convenient. I wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, strange will say, I believe that's Mox over there. Lilian, are you done retching for the moment? I think we should go speak to him.
I think I can hold I think I can hold myself long enough to have a conversation with Mox.
I can't tell if you're more or less green than normal. Do you change color when you're sick?
If I'm sick for long enough, my hair starts wilting. It's a whole thing. Just hopefully it doesn't last that long. Yes, I go bald. It sucks. I have to wear a wig.
I'd like to know what it's like to have hair. It seems fun.
You could always wear a wig. Like I said, I got like so many of them in like my costume closet.
Oh, I just don't think it's the same thing, right?
I mean, it's not, but you can at least see what it looks like.
What is it called? A scalp?
Yes, a scalp. I guess you don't really have one then, huh? Do your vines? Can you grow more vines and kind of do a hair type thing, or is that like a different thing?
I think Harvest could have that like kind of singular, like how a pumpkin you might get from a farm has the one root vine. Like we have this, but it's not really. Most of the time it's cut once you leave the ground. Not really the same. So, different vibe, very different vibe. I can't put this in pigtails or anything like that. It doesn't really work that way.
Well, like even if it's not quite the same thing, you're always welcome to like show up like backstage while I'm rehearsing or something and be like, "Hey, Lilian, can you hand me that like big long like orange wig or like the one that's like got the pigtails on it? Just like there's a whole stash of them."
I just want to know what it's like to use a comb.
Yeah, so you see that standing next to the tree, kind of almost leaning on it, is Speaker Box, who is kind of looking down in the ground and is holding like a silver jewelry box of some sort in his hands and is kind of like nervously sort of fumbling around it as you all approach.
Max, I was hoping we'd get a chance to talk to you about like the vibe check getting interrupted and what Miss Killings was talking about and what that thing is you have. It seems like it's important if you brought it with you.
Hello there, folks. It's good to see you. Congrats on a successful vibe check, despite maybe the circumstances. And, yeah, I believe I have a couple things to talk to y'all about.
Do tell, Miss.
I can hear you. Oh. I was getting away from the mic, be like, I can hear you. You can start talking. I'll be there in a sec.
Should we wait for Hialeah or...
She said that she's a little winded from like trying to run to catch up with us. Like even though she's very tall, I guess it's very hard to walk. Like when you're so tall and you got like all the tree stuff going on with you. But yeah, you could just get started.
Fair enough then. So I suppose y'all might have some questions for me regarding things you may have all been hearing, and I don't really wish to keep any secrets from y'all. I guess I should begin by telling y'all why I stopped doing vibe checking to begin with. The reason for that, simply put, is I brought someone back that I should not have.
Was it that racist robot? I'm here. I heard the whole thing.
No, he's cool now.
Oh, okay. Who built that robot? Sorry, I know you're in the middle of the thing. I hurt my knee when I was younger. I was playing rot ball. I used to be really good.
Well, I imagine if you got questions about who built Pox, that would be a great question for Pox. And my condolences for your rot ball injury. I hope that you can recover nicely from that. Although, from my understanding, you're very old, so I don't know if your body works the same way as it used to. Surely doesn't work the same way mine used to.
Yeah, we were talking about our ages earlier. I was gonna say I was a 6,966 or something like that, but I couldn't make the joke in time.
Yeah, we get slower in our minds as we get older. Don't worry, I still think you're very witty. You know, sometimes a joke passes by. You just have to learn to smile and nod along. It'll come to you.
I appreciate that.
So, as I was saying to your companions here, the reason I stopped vibe checking is I brought someone back that I should not have. And said person, I do believe, is a danger not to just this community, but to this entire biome. I believe this person will not rest until the banyan tree is destroyed.
Oh, I'm gonna feed this person my sword, not sharp side first.
Well, I have unfortunate news for you there, Hialeah. I imagine you are going to need to get a much larger sword.
That seems unlikely. They don't really come any larger.
That seems like a really big person. If Hialeah's sword wouldn't cut it, is this like a giant?
Who exactly did you bring back, and why?
She pets Fracture, her big sword, and says, "Shh, he didn't mean it. It's okay."
I did mean it. The individual I brought back is a giant, and a rather large one at that.
Neither here nor there, but did you have to put the whole body into the tree, or just did you break off a little piece?
Well, it's interesting you ask that. I did not bring the body part to this island. It was a very small, carved off chunk of flesh, rather sizable for my hands, and that was what went into the banyan tree without much issue. How it came out of the hole, well, I guess that's a question for Bitter Creek and his folk, but someone came back where it was very large, and they are still here, just on the other side of the island and resting.
Oh, it's a big sleepy guy.
Hold on. Let's roll back a moment. You said you did a vibe check on it, and you didn't gather that they want to destroy the island? Or, for that matter, why do they want to destroy the island?
It's a good question you asked that. So, I don't know how much y'all know about giants and their history. From my understanding, there used to be a thing called the Ordning, sort of a hierarchy that exists within giants. Sort of the bigger you are, the tougher you are, the more everyone has to follow you kind of thing.
I actually did know this, at both in and out of character. I want to say Hialeah took giant because I imagine she likes them because they're big, but I assume that that's the only species that doesn't make her feel like weirdly out of place.
Yeah, I mean, this is a question for you, Hialeah, is if you know about this, what are your thoughts on the Ordning?
Yeah, I mean, the ordning is just their kind of social structure. I don't know how she personally feels about like hierarchies in general. I don't think she's like, an anarchist. This is, I feel like her thing is that she thinks you should respect other cultures, but like she wouldn't want to be it. She wouldn't want to be part of it, but it's like none of her business, I guess. I'm trying to think of like an example in our world where I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me, but who am I to say?
Since Stranger also knows Giant, I think he doesn't actually really know anything about the Ordning, most likely. I think he just specifically deals with things like trolls, or that kind of like, because there are a lot of like fantasy, like fairy tale monsters that in D&D speak Giant, and that's probably what he's in particular dealing with.
Yeah, so Mox is gonna, kind of take in what you offer and just say, I agree with you to a certain extent, Hialeah, that I don't act as though I know how other cultures should act. So when I saw this individual had a particular passion for bringing the ordinance back and making it concrete law again, I thought that they would be allowed to have their opinion, and it wasn't right for me to necessarily deprive them of the chance to come back solely off that condition. However, upon learning that he has been brought back to life, this individual has taken quite a bit of umbrage with something that he feels is unnatural, against the natural order of the world, an abomination. And he has made it quite clear that once he gains enough rest and strength, his first goal will be to destroy that tree.
I feel like you're going to talk me out of immediately marching over there and starting to stab, because I'm going to do that right now. Speaker Mox, you can see me moving. I'm turning. My knees hurt really bad.
Just don't hurt your knees more. At least not yet.
I'm getting the vibe he might use you as a toothpick.
I would reckon against doing that, Hialeah, and if you're curious as to why, well, then I will just say that I am currently holding the remains of the last person who tried to come at this individual with any kind of gumption, should I say. And he is going to open this jewelry box, and you can see that it is just full of guts.
That's a cool thing to have. That's a normal guy thing to carry around.
These people guts?
I mean, define people. I want to give you a medicine check, but in my mind, I think it is so impossibly difficult to identify what kind of guts something is, but it's just like pulverized, like meat juice, essentially.
It's the pink slime they make McNuggets out of.
Yeah.
It's Tubby Custard. It's Tubby Custard.
It's Tubby Custard.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to end there. I wanted to at some point have someone ask about why Miss Killings was mad, but is that related?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask him about what Miss Killian said, he'll sort of apologize and he'll say, I mean, after everything that happened with this individual, I suppose I lost a bit of confidence in myself to make the right calls, that perhaps it was too naive to think one person could handle all these responsibilities, and I suppose by shirking my duties, the queue got a little bit longer. Perhaps when I was at it, Miss Killins would have been on the docket in time to make her deadline, but after I paused, things got pushed back, and that was no longer the case.
Oh, is that it? She was delayed?
Yeah, but of my own fault, I suppose. If things had been running smoothly, and maybe I hadn't lost my confidence, then maybe she wouldn't have had to reach such a state of desperation. I feel like I've given you all quite a lot of trouble.
No. While yes, you were derelict in your duties, I was expecting something like you lost the body part or a more egregious failing of character. I would still squarely lay this at Miss Killing's feet. I need to ask, and I apologize if this is difficult for you, but this feels like information we should know. First, why does this giant hate the banyan tree, and who, or what, he gestures towards the box full of guts, is that?
So, so Speaker Box will say, from what I recall of being inside of this individual's vibe, their energy, they believe very strongly in the natural order of things, very firmly in it, which is why they are so passionate about the ordning being a natural thing that should return, and how they may not have been the most popular person as a result of that. I can...
Oh, fuck. I just realized your villains are progress and return to tradition. Damn. Good stuff. Fully rigid.
New ideas versus consistency.
Oh my
Yes!
god, themes.
He will simply say, I believe that this person sees this tree as an affront to everything they believe in, and that they have the power to make sure that if they feel that way, they will use that power to make it so.
I have a question. Like, Lilian, like, has a question, like, in character. Like, Faye is like, so you said that, like, this giant is still here and just resting on the other side of the island. Is the person who brought them here also still on the island? Are they, like, with the giant? Are they at the gig? Cause if they feel so strongly about, like, destroying the banyan tree, does the person who brought them back could be talked
I believe
to?
Mox said that he brought the body part here.
No, Mox did not bring the body part here, is what he was clarifying. He put it in there, but from the wording, I wanted to clarify he did not. Mox is going to look to you, Lilian, and say, that's a mighty good question you asked there, and I am holding what remains of the patron, or perhaps patrons, I should say, who brought this fine folk to our island and asked for resurrection. This at one time was Antonio, Claudio, and Hook. They were Etten.
Quinn's been wanting to voice an Etten for seasons because it's a character you can give multiple voices.
Yeah, spoiler, a lot of these character NPC ideas are just old discarded ideas of mine that I was like, maybe I'll use them here. Austin was very passionate. He was like, you should DM a season. You have so many character ideas. So
Yeah, several of them are coming out here. I say that to, I guess, add, maybe people here in the audience do not know what an Etten is, but I imagine you've probably seen something very similar to this in different kinds of culture. It's basically a two-headed troll-like individual. It's sort of, I guess, tangentially connected to giants, though significantly smaller, and they have two heads. And can be I don't know.
usually they're evil, but who knows here?
So just to clarify, their names are Antonio and Claudio, last name Hook.
Nope. So the character name, the two Etten heads are Antonio hyphen Claudio, A-N-T. Fuck, hold on.
This wrestling reference is becoming difficult, isn't it, Quinn?
Antonio, Antonio hyphen
Claudio, and Hook. Those are the names of the two Etten heads.
Okay, so there's two heads, but one of them has a hyphenated name. Okay,
AC and
gotcha.
Hook.
One of them has a fancy name, and one of them is like a sound.
And then how do you spell Etten so I can look that up? I've never heard of this thing.
Yeah, Ettin.
I once played a character who was a 17-year-old farm boy with an adopted baby Etten son. He was a single father and got deeply traumatized.
No.
They took his baby away.
No.
In real life, the Tubby Custard is not edible and is made from mashed potatoes with red and yellow acrylic paint.
You
In the
just said it's
2000
made of mashed potatoes.
full
And
of paint.
acrylic paint.
And I lick my brushes all the time already. It's fine.
Which is why you are the way you are. The 2015 reboot uses milkshake powder mixed with fruit.
Again, perfectly fine.
What reboot are we talking about? I got lost here for a second.
Teletubbies.
Oh, what? Why
They
are we...
rebooted the Tubby. They rebooted Tubby Custard.
Oh, God.
It's the new Tubby Custard formula. Bring back the old Tubby Custard formula.
Oh, my God.
Tubby Classic.
Hail the new flesh.
So if the person whose remains are in this box was the person who brought this giant back, what? And now they're dead because of the giant who killed them?
Yeah, I believe they were not too happy about being brought back and took it upon themselves to eliminate the first person who tried to claim credit for doing it.
I already was going to kill this guy, but being ungrateful is just another level that I can't stand. So as soon as my knees heal up, I am going to separate these two heads permanently.
Well, I also want to ask y'all a little bit of a favor.
Yes, you can have one of my fruit.
Oh, well, thank you. I suppose I was actually mighty curious about that, but that isn't necessarily the favor I was going to ask of y'all. Dealing with this individual is larger than myself and will take quite a lot of help to figure out. I'm not really sure how we avoid the inevitable when this giant does finally decide to wake up and mosey on over here, but I think the answer to some of it might lie in this individual here. and he's going to kind of close the jewelry box and hand it to Lilian and say, I understand y'all are in control of the vibe checks now, so I totally understand if y'all want to keep to it. This ain't part of the queue. He ain't on any kind of resurrection wait list. But the only answers I can figure on how to stop that giant, and the only other person who we know was there at the time.
Well, while I dislike the idea of jumping the queue, it does seem that you have an existential threat here that will, if not wipe out this... Although I suppose it can, no offense, Hialeah, only wipe out the banyan tree unless it's going to swim down into the ocean and kill a big fish? Is that how this works? I'm not sure what they're doing under the water.
I think it's some kind of worm.
I heard it does riddles. I like that. I like that part of it.
I guess if we already decided, like, that, like, a very, like, rude queue skipping, like, not go unpunished, but, like, we're bringing someone back from it that, like, if it's of, like, importance to keeping the tree and like, the island from getting destroyed, then I guess it's something that we'll have to consider.
Yeah, I think at this point, Hialeah will say, I think the riddle snake and the banyan tree are the same kind or the same class of phenomenon. I'm not sure they can be killed in the way we think of things dying. Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't protect the tree. I think there's more than we know about them. And I think that whatever this giant is mad about is far above its pay grade. We keep calling it the giant. I am, Speaker Mox, going to have to demand you tell me this man's name.
Absolutely.
Also, what kind of giant?
If anyone was going to ask, his name is White.
Wight. White.
Now, okay, so there's White the giant, and there's Elf the dwarf, there's Gnome the halfling, and there's a dragon the fucking Remorays.
The dungeon.
Cool.
Got it.
Dragon the dungeon.
All
yeah.
I can say is if you have been following with the naming convention to my season, this name makes 100% perfect sense. So
I would have maybe guessed it was going to be Andre, but sure.
whenever we just had a season with an Andre, couldn't do Andre.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Sorry, someone asked a second question. I forgot what it was.
What kind of giant?
Oh, he says, I believe a storm giant.
Uh-oh.